Will pay respects to the Buddha. Nam tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the blessed one, the fully enlightened one. Buddham Dhammam Sangham Namaskar. Welcome everyone to Wednesday Dhamma reading. We'll continue the reading of the Dhammapada verses and stories. We have started reading Dhammapada verses stories last week from this particular chapter. And last time we read till Dhammapada verse number 136. Today we are going to read from 137. Mahamukhalanna Tera Vattu. Verse 137. He does harm with weapons to those who are harmless and should not be harmed, will soon come to any of these 10 evil consequences. Verse 138, 139, and 140. He will be subject to severe pain or imprisonment or injury to the body, loss of limbs, or serious illness, leprosy, or lunacy, or misfortunes following the birth of the king, or wrongful and serious acquisitions, or loss of relatives, or destruction of wealth, or the burning down of his house by fire or by lightning. After the dissolution of his body, the fool will be reborn in the plane of continuous suffering, Niraya. The story of Tera Mahamukhalanna. While residing at the Jetavana monastery, the Buddha uttered verses of this book with reference to the Tera Mahamukhalanna. Once the Nigantas ascetics planned to kill Tera Mahamukhalanna because they thought that by doing away with Tera Mahamukhalanna, the fame and fortune of the Buddha could also be diminished. So they hired some assassins to kill Tera Mahamukhalanna, who was staying at Kailasila near Rajagaha at that time. That assassins surrounded the monastery, but Tera Mahamukhalanna, with his supernormal power, got away first through a keyhole and for the second time through the roof. Thus they could not get hold of the Tera for 2 whole months. While the assassins again surrounded the monastery during the 3rd month, Tera Mahamukhalanna, recollecting that he had yet to pay for the evil done by him during one of his past existence, did not exercise his supernatural power. So he was caught, and the assassins beat him up until all his bones were utterly broken. After that, they left his body in a bush, thinking that he had passed away. But the Tera, through his jhanic power, revived himself and went to the Buddha at the Jetavana monastery. When he informed the Buddha that he would soon realize Parinibbana at Kalasila near Rajagaha, the Buddha told him to go only after expounding the Dhamma to the congregation of the bhikkhus, as that would be the last time they would see him. So Tera Mahamukhalanna expounded the Dhamma and left after saying, pain, sins, 7 times to the Buddha. The news of the passing away of Terang Mahamukallana in the hands of the assassin spread like a wildfire. King Ajatasattu ordered his men to investigate and get hold of the culprits. The assassins were caught and they were burned to death. The bhikkhus felt very sorrowful about the death of Thera Mahamukkalan and could not understand why such a personage like Thera Mahamukkalana should die at the hands of assassins. To them, the Buddha said, Bhikkhus, considering that Mukkalanna had lived a noble life in this existence, he should not have met with such a death. But in one of his past existences, he had done a great wrong to his own parents, who were both blind. In the beginning, he was a very dutiful son, but after his marriage, his wife began to make trouble and she suggested that he should get rid of his parents. He took his blind parents in a cart into a forest, and there he killed them by beating them and making them believe that it was some thief who was beating them. For that evil deed, he suffered in Niraya for a long time, and in this existence, his last, he has died at the hands of assassins. Indeed, by doing wrong to those who should not be wrong, one is sure to suffer for that. Then the Buddha spoke in words as follows: He who does harm with weapons to those who are harmless and should not be harmed will soon come to any of these 10 evil consequences. He will be subject to severe pain or impoverishment or injury to the body or serious illness or lunacy or misfortune following the birth of the king or wrongful and serious acquisition or loss of relatives or destruction of wealth or the burning down of his house by fire or by lightning. After the dissolution of his body, the fool will be reborn in the plain of continuous suffering. Niraya. So this is this verses which are given by the Buddha. Actually, is talking about what happens if you are doing harm to a person who should not be harmed because they have not done anything wrong, but yet we have done something harm to them, then that particular person will have it, these kind of severe punishments, this kind of pain. So these verses were related to Tera Mahamukkalana when the Buddha was staying near Chetavana monastery. So there were few aesthetics in the time of the Buddha called Nigantanath aesthetics. They planned to kill Tera Mahamukkalana. They thought that killing this Tera, who is a chief disciple of the Buddha, would be a misfortune and Buddha's teaching will all go down because his student has been killed. So they were planning and they hired few people and then uh, they saw where Tera was staying. In that time, Tera was staying near Kalasila, nearby Rajagriha. Those uh, murderers or wounds, everybody, they surrounded the monastery and they tried to kill Tera Mahamukkalan. Using his supernormal powers, he saw what's going to happen and then he escaped through a pinhole. And then at the second time, he escaped through the roof. And this happened like for 2 months. And during the third month, Titera understood that in recollecting his past life, he understood that he has to face these evil consequences for whatever uh, deeds that he has done. He has to face this present painful situation that's happening. So he didn't escape himself from that particular situation, and he allowed himself to get beaten by all those assassins, and they broke his bones, and they threw Tera's body in the bush thinking he was killed. But the Tera himself was not killed. Tera, using his Janic power, he cured himself, and he went to the Buddha near the Jetavana monastery. He paid respect, and he informed the Buddha that it's time for him to realize the parinibbana, that he is going to die. Then Buddha told him that you have to give a Dhamma discourse to the bhikkhus who are present here. Then, because this is the last time, they are going to see you. And then the Tera expounded the Dhamma, and he left, paying respects to the Buddha. And he passed away. After the Tera died, the news of the Tera's death passed spread like a wildfire, and the king ordered for those assassins to be caught, and they were burnt alive. And the bhikkhus felt very sorrow, and how come this Tiramaha Mukalala, this very who has more psychic ability, who has lived this austeric life, followed the precepts very well, practiced meditation. How come he has died in those wounds hand? Bhikkhus were having a question, so they came to the Buddha, and the answer to them, okay, I accept that the Tera has lived a very good life in this present existence, but he should not have met with such a death according to this present existence. But instead, he experienced this kind of death because in the past, when both of his parents were blind, he was taking good care as a son of both of his parents. But after his marriage, his wife was making trouble, so he took both of his parents to, to a hillside and pretended to be a thief, and he himself beat them up, and he told them that it was a thief. And they suffered, and he slowly killed both of them. And because of this wrong action, he suffered a long time in the Niraya. And because of that action, he has suffered this kind of death in this present existence. So here Buddha is also saying, indeed, by doing wrong to those who should not be wrong, one is sure to suffer for it. Then the Buddha spoke these two verses to the bhikkhus, saying, he who does harm with weapons to those who are harmless and should not be harmed will soon come to any of these 10 evil consequences. So, those, if we are doing any kind of wrong action against those who are to be not harmed or done nothing, uh, they are a good person, but we are having a wrong intention towards them. Then there are these 10 consequences that particular person is going to face. One is they are subjected to severe pain, they have impoverishment, they have injuries on the body, they have serious illness, they have misfortunes, they are going to follow the rules of the king, maybe they get imprisoned. Wrongful and serious acquisitions, loss of relatives, loss, destruction of wealth, burning down of his houses by fire, by lightning. And after the death, that fool is reborn in the plane of continuous suffering, which is near. So any kind of action that we are doing should always remain wholesome. The intention behind should be clear. if we are having some wrong intention towards a person who is not supposed to be harmed, who is harmless, then definitely these are the 10 consequences that are going to be suffered. And this is the words and the story.
Sindhu, next one, I think Chaya madam or Vidya madam can read.
Chayadi, are you available?
Hello.
Yes.
Can you all hear me? I'm not having a very clear throat today. I'm ready to read, but is my voice clear enough?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, sure.
You can zoom in, Sindhu.
Yeah, please. Yes, thank you so much. Got it. No, I can't see this. Dhammapada verse 141. Bahu bandika bhikkhu vattu. Na naggacharya na jata na panka. Nanasa thanda dilasya va. Rajo jalam ukkutti kappadam padanam. Sodhenti makkam avinti na kana kankham. Verse 141. Not going naked, not having matted hair, nor smearing oneself with mud, nor fasting, nor sleeping on bare ground, nor covering oneself with dust, nor striving by squatting can purify a being who has not yet overcome doubt. The story of Bhikkhu Bahubandika. While residing at the Jetwana monastery, the Buddha uttered verse 141 of this book with reference to Bahubandika, a bhikkhu with many possessions. Once there was a rich man in Savatthi. After the death of his wife, he decided to become a bhikkhu. But before he entered the order, he built a monastery which included a kitchen and a storeroom. He also brought his own furniture, utensils, and a large stock of rice, oil, butter, and other provisions. Whatever dishes he wanted was cooked for him by his servants. Thus, even as a bhikkhu, he was living in comfort, and because he had so many things with him, he was known as Bahubandika. One day, bhikkhus took him to the Buddha, and in his presence told the Buddha about the many things he had brought along with him to the monastery, and also how he was still leading the luxurious life of a rich man. So the Buddha said to Bahubandika, "My son, I have been teaching all of you to live an austere life. Why have you brought so much property with you?" When reprimanded even this much, that bhikkhu lost his temper and said angrily, "Indeed, venerable sir, I will now live as you wish me to." So saying, he cast off his upper robe. Seeing him thus, the Buddha said to him, "My son, in your last existence, you were an ogre. Even as an ogre, you had a sense of shame and a sense of fear to do evil. Now that you are a bhikkhu, in my teaching, why do you have to throw away the sense of shame and the sense of fear to do evil?" When he heard those words, the bhikkhu realized his mistake. His sense of shame and fear to do evil returned, and he respectfully paid obeisance to the Buddha and asked that he should be pardoned. The Buddha then said to him, "Standing there without your upper robe is not proper. Just discarding your robe, etc., does not make you an austere bhikkhu. A bhikkhu must also discard his doubt." Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows. Verse 141. Not going naked, nor having matted hair, nor smearing oneself with mud, nor fasting, nor sleeping on bare ground, nor covering oneself with dust, nor striving by squatting, can purify a being who has not yet overcome doubt. At the end of the discourse, many attained Sotapatti fruition. Beautiful.
Thank you, Chaya.
Yes, thank you so much. It was a very beautiful message, very, very beautiful verse.
Yes. Actually, even after these verses are very interesting as we read the story, the context and the understanding keeps deepening. So this is the verse number 141, which is saying that even if you go naked, even if you mat your hair, if you cover yourself with dust or fast or sleep on a bare ground or cover yourself with the dust or strive by squatting, can purify any of your actions and its consequences. But your actions will get purified only when you overcome the doubt. All whatever kind of striving you're doing, if you have a doubt, will not be, you will not reach the fruition if you have doubt inside you. So this is the story of a bhikkhu, Bahubandika. While the Buddha was staying in the Jetavana monastery, he said these words with reference to Bahubandika, a bhikkhu with many positions. So there was a rich man in Chavati. After his wife has died, he has decided to become a bhikkhu. But before he entered the order, he built a monastery. He included a kitchen, a storeroom, and he bought all of his furniture, utensils, and a large stock of groceries with him. So whatever he wished for, his servants used to cook and give it to him. Thus, even after becoming a bhikkhu, he was living a life still as a rich man. So that's why everybody used to call him Bahubandika. What Bahu, which means many things with him. So seeing all of this, other bhikkhus took him to the Buddha in the presence of him. They told what all is happening, what how much things he has bought, and even though after becoming a bhikkhu, he is living a luxurious life as a rich man. So the Buddha spoke to him, Bahubandika, saying, "My son, I have been teaching all of you to live an austere life. Why have you brought so much property with you?" When asked even this much, that bhikkhu lost his temper and angrily said, "Indeed, Venerable Sir, I will now live as you wish me to." So when the Buddha questioned him, why, when I asked you to live simple life, which is bare minimum having things with you, then why did you get this much of property with you? When the Buddha asked him, he got angry and he said, "Okay, sir, okay, Venerable Sir, but now I'll live the life the way according to you wish. Whatever wish you make, according to that wish, I will I'll make my life as you wish," he said. And he took off his robe and he threw it away, saying, "This minimum is also not needed for me now." Then the Buddha said to him, "Even in your last existence as an ogre, you were having a sense of shame, sense of fear to do evil. But in this existence, when you are following my teaching, when you become a bhikkhu, you don't have this shame, or you have thrown away the sense of shame, and you don't have any sense of fear to do evil. and he has taken off his upper robe and just thrown it away. When he heard those voices, the bhikkhu realized his mistake, and his sense of shame came back. His sense of fear to do evil returned. Then he said, uh, then he asked for forgiveness, and the Buddha pardoned him. And then the Buddha told, standing there without your upper robe is not proper. Just discarding your robe, etc., does not make you an austere bhikkhu. A bhikkhu must also discard his doubt. Then the Buddha gave him, followed the instructions along with this verse, saying, not getting naked, nor having matted hair, nor smearing oneself with mud, nor fasting, nor sleeping on bare ground, nor covering oneself with dust, nor striving by squatting can purify a being who has not yet overcome doubt. At the end of the discourse, he attained, and so many people who have heard this verse have attained the fruition. So internally, even a little amount of doubt, if it's remaining, then any kind of striving will not lead you to the right path, to the wholesome path. So discard the doubt. Whatever questions you have, whatever doubt, even is little it's that you have in your mind, will not allow you to walk on the path. It will keep pulling you back. So one has to overcome doubt so that they keep walking on the path.
Now do we have 142 Sindhu?
So I have clicked on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's loading.
I think Vidya madam can read if possible.
Yeah, I don't mind if I can see the text. Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi. Thank you. So should we start?
Yes, you can.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Sindhu. Dhammapada verse 142, Santati Maha Matavatu. Alankato chepi sanam chareya santo danto niyato brahmachari sabhesu bhutesu nidhaya dandam so brahmano so samano sabiko. Verse 142. Though he is gaily decked, if he is calm, free from moral defilements, and has his senses controlled, if he is established in Magga inside, he is pure and has laid aside enmity, weapons towards all beings. He indeed is a Brahmana, a Samana, and a Bhikkhu. According to the commentary in this context, Brahmana, Samana, and Bhikkhu are all arhats. The story of Santati the minister. While residing at the Jetavana monastery, the Buddha uttered verse 142 of this book. With reference to Santati, the minister of King Pasenadi of Kosala. On one occasion, Santati the minister returned after suppressing a rebellion on the border. King Pasenadi was so pleased with him that he honored the minister with a gift of riches and glory of a ruler together with a dancing girl to entertain him for 7 days. For 7 days, the king's minister enjoyed himself to his heart's content, getting intoxicated with drink and infatuated with the young dancer. On the seventh day, riding the ornamental royal elephant, he went down to the riverside for a bath. On the on the way, he met the Buddha going on alms round, and being drunk, he just bowed casually as a sign of respect to the Buddha. The Buddha said, And Ananda asked the Buddha why he smiled. So the Buddha said to Ananda, Ananda, this minister will come to see me this very day, and after I have given him a short discourse, will become a arhat. Soon after becoming an arhat, he will realize parinibbana. Santati and his party spent the whole day at the riverside bathing, eating, drinking, and thus thoroughly enjoying themselves. In the evening, the minister and his party went to the garden to have more drinks and to be entertained by the dancer. The dancer, on her part, tried her best to entertain the minister. For the whole week, she was living on reduced diet to keep herself trim. While dancing, she suffered a severe stroke and collapsed, and at that instant she died with her eyes and mouth wide open. The minister was shocked and deeply distressed. In agony, he tried to think of a refuge and remembered the Buddha. He went to the Buddha, accompanied by his followers, and related to him, and related to him about the grief and anguish he suffered on account of the sudden death of the dancer. And then he then said to the Buddha, Venerable Sir, please help me get over my sorrow, be my refuge, and let me have the peace of mind. To have the Buddha replied, rest assured, my son, you have come to one who could help you, one who could be a constant solace to you, and who will be your refuge. The tears you have shed due to the death of this dancer throughout the round of rebirths is more than the waters of all the oceans. The Buddha then instructed the minister um, in the verse. The meaning of the verse is as follows: in the past, there has been in you clinging, upadana, due to craving. Get rid of it. In future, do not let such clinging occur in you. Do not also harbor any clinging in the present. By not having any clinging, craving, and passion will be calmed in you and you will realize Nibbana. After hearing the verse, the minister attained arhatship. Then, realizing that his lifespan was at the end, he said to the Buddha, Venerable Sir, let me now realize parinibbana, for my time has come. The Buddha consenting, Santati rose to a height of 7 toddy palms in the sky, and there, while meditating on the element of fire, Tejo Kasina, he passed away, realizing parinibbana. His body went up in flames, his blood and flesh burned up, and bone relics, dhatu, fell through the sky and dropped on the clean piece of cloth which was spread by the bhikkhus as instructed by the Buddha. At the congregation, the bhikkhus asked the Buddha, Venerable Sir, the minister had realized parinibbana, dressed in full regalia. Is he a samana or a brahmana? To them, the Buddha replied, Bhikkhus, my son can be called both a samana and a brahmana. Then the Buddha spoke in the verse as follows. Verse 142, though he is gaily decked, if he is calm, free from moral defilements, and has his senses controlled, if he is established in Magga inside, if he is pure and has laid aside enmity, weapons towards all beings, he indeed is a Brahmana, a Samana, a Bhikkhu. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vidya. So this is another interesting verse and the story. The verse says, we'll go to the verse later and start with the story. So this is the story relating to Santati, the minister. As usual, the was staying near Jetavana, and the opening, the every story remains the same. And then the king Pasinidhi of Kosala was delighted with the uh, work done by Santati at the border. So he has suppressed many rebellions at the border. So the king appreciated him and he honored him with gifts of the riches and he gave like a vacation for 7 days. He gave all food. He sent a girl for him to dance and enjoy. He gave him drinks, and he gave for the 7 days. On the seventh day, Santati was riding a ornamented royal elephant, and while he was going to the river bank, he for a bath, he saw the Buddha, and he casually bowed to the Buddha, and Buddha smiled. So Ananda asked him, why did he smile? Then the Buddha said, Ananda, this minister will come to see me this very day, and after I gave him a short discourse, he will become an arhat. And soon after becoming arhat, he will realize parinibbana. So Buddha, using his supernormal powers, he knew what's going to happen. That's why he smiled. He he saw the same person who is going to become an arhat was casually going to the Buddha. He's highly intoxicated and was on the way to go have a bath on the river bank and then go back and have some drinks. Then Santati and all his party spend the whole day nearby the riverside, eating, drinking, and they were enjoying themselves. And in the evening, when they went to the garden to have more drinks and entertained by the dancer on her part did have tried her best to entertain the minister, so she was not having proper diet to make her body look trim. So she suffered a severe stroke and she collapsed and she died instantly with her eyes and mouth open. Seeing this, that the dancer has died, and he he remembered that the Buddha is the refuge, and Buddha is the one who can help me out from my grief of the sudden death of the dancer. And then he went to the Buddha and asked him, Venerable Sir, please help me. And then Buddha told to him, you have come to the right place. You have come where you can find the refuge. You have shed more tears due to the death of these dancers. You have shed tears for this dancer. You have been feeling sorrow, but you have shed more tears equal to more than the water of all the oceans. In each and every birth of yours, in your rebirth, you have shed more waters than all the oceans. Then, hearing this, the Buddha gave him a short Dhamma discourse. He says, in the past, whatever you have been clinging to due to the craving, get rid of it. In the future, do not let such clinging occur in you. And do not also harbor, do not give any clinging, any attention to the clinging in the present. By not having any clinging, craving, and passion will be calmed in you and you will realize Nibbana. So the Buddha is saying, whatever clinging you had in the past, get rid of it, let it go. And whatever clinging you are going to have in the future, do not let that clinging occur in you. And in the present, do not give any attention to the clinging. By not having any clinging and craving, the passion will be calm and you will realize Nibbana. Seeing this, hearing this, the minister attained the arhanship. Then realizing his lifespan was short, he said, let me attain the parinibbana, it's time to go now. Then Santati, the minister, rose 7 toddy palms high in the sky, and he was meditating on the element of fire, and he passed away at that height. His body was all burnt up in flames, and His relics, dhatu, the bones, burnt up bones, fell from the sky in a clean piece of cloth, which was spread by the bhikkhus because Buddha asked them to do so. So the bhikkhus who have seen the discussion happening there, who have seen what the relics fall from the sky, they asked the Buddha, did the minister attain Parinibbana? The minister who is dressed in full regalia, is he a Samana or a Brahmana? They were doubtful. Did he really attain Parinibbana? To them, the Buddha replied, Bhikkhus, my son, he can be both a Samana and a Brahmana. Though he is gaily dead, if he is calm, free from moral defilements, and has his senses controlled, if he is established in Makkah inside, if he is pure and has laid aside enmity towards all beings, he indeed is a Brahmana, a Samana, and a Bhikkhu. So, whatever externally dresses or appearance is there, the state of mind, those who are calm, free from moral defilements, whose senses are controlled, have established themselves in the path, and who has led down any enmity towards all beings, that person is called Brahmana or Samana or a Bhikkhu. Nandavaram?
Yes. Dhammapada verses 143 and 144. Pilati kati sataravatu. Verse 143. Rare in this world is the kind of person who, out of a sense of shame, restrains from doing evil and keeps himself awake like a good horse that gives no cause to be whipped. Verse 144. Like a good horse stirred at a touch of the whip, he diligently and get alarmed by endless round of rebirth, that is samsara. By faith, morality, effort, concentration, discernment of the Dhamma, be endowed with knowledge and practice of morality, and with mindfulness, leave this immeasurable dukkha of samsara behind. Dhamma vichayana, Dhamma plus vinichaya, discernment of the Dhamma of law. It is explained by the commentary as karuna karana jananam, knowing right and wrong causes of things. The story of Thera Pilotikatissa. While residing at the Jetavana monastery, the Buddha uttered verses 143 and 144 of this book with reference to Thera Pilotikatissa. Once Thera Ananda saw a shabbily dressed youth going round begging for food. He felt pity for the youth and made him a samanera. The young samanera left his old clothes and his begging plate on the fork of a tree. When he became a bhikkhu, he was known as Pilotikatissa. As a bhikkhu, he did not have to worry about food and clothing as he was in affluent circumstances. Yet sometimes he did not feel happy in his life as a bhikkhu and thought of going back to the life of a layman. Whenever he had this feeling, he would go back to the tree where he had left his old clothes and his plate. There at the foot of the tree, he would put this question to himself: "O shameless one, do you want to leave the place where you are fed well and dressed well? Do you still want to put on these shabby clothes and go begging again with this old plate in your hand?" Thus he would rebuke himself, and after calming down, he would go back to the monastery. After 2 or 3 days again, he felt like leaving the monastic life of a bhikkhu, and again he went to the tree where he kept his old clothes and his plate. After asking himself the same old question, and having been reminded of the wretchedness of his old life, he returned to the monastery. This was repeated many times. When other bhikkhus asked him why he often went to the tree where he kept his old clothes and his plate, he told them that he went to see his teacher. Thus, keeping in mind on these old clothes as the subject of meditation, he came to realize the true nature of the aggregates of the khandhas, that is, anicca, dukkha, anatta, and eventually he became an arahant. Then he stopped going to the tree. Other bhikkhus noticed that Pilotikatisa had stopped going to the tree where he kept his old clothes and his plate, asked him, "Why don't you go to your teacher any more?" To them he answered, "When I had the need, I had to go to him, but there is no need for me to go to him now." When the bhikkhus heard his reply, they took him to see the Buddha. When they came to his presence, they said, "Venerable sir, this bhikkhu claims that he has attained arahatship. He must be telling lies." But the Buddha refuted them and said, "Bhikkhus, Pilotikatissa is not telling lies. He speaks the truth. Though he had relationship with his teacher previously, now he has no relationship whatsoever with his teacher. Pilotikatissa has instructed himself to differentiate right and wrong courses and to discern the true nature of things. He has now become an arahant, and so there is no further connection between him and his teacher. Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows. Verse 143. Rare in this world is the kind of person who, out of a sense of shame, restrains from doing evil and keeps himself awake like a good horse that gives no cause to be whipped. Verse 144. Like a good horse stirred at a touch of a whip, be diligent and get alarmed by endless round of rebirths, that is samsara, by faith, morality, effort, concentration, discernment of the Dhamma, be endowed with knowledge and practice of morality, and with mindfulness, leave his immeasurable dukkha of samsara behind. Teacher here refers to Pilotika's old clothes and his begging plate. They are like a teacher to him because they imbued him with a deep sense of shame and put him on the right track.
Story. So these verses are related to the Tera named Pilotika Tissa. When the Buddha was staying in the Jetavana monastery, he uttered these verses referring to Tera Pilotika Tissa. Once Tera Ananda saw a shabbily dressed youth who was begging for food, and he felt pity, and he made that young man, yeah, he made him a Samanera. So that young youth, Samanera, left his old clothes and begging plate on and food on the tree, and he became a bhikkhu, and he was known as Pilotikatissa. As a bhikkhu, he did not have to worry much about the food and the clothing, and everything was at least sufficient in these new circumstances. Yet sometimes, yet sometimes he did not feel happy, and he, in this bhikkhu life, he thought of going back and to a lead man. And whenever he had this feeling, he used to go back to the tree. And after going to the tree, he used to ask him this question, O shameless one, do you want to leave the place where you are fed well and dressed well? Do you still want to put on these shabby clothes and go begging again with this old plate in your hand? And he used to calm himself down, saying so. And after a few hours or something, he used to go back to the monastery. After 2 or 3 days, again, he used to have the same feeling that of not feeling happy in this monastery. As a bhikkhu, as a samnera, he used to go back to the old clothes and plate, and having the same discussion within his mind, he used to come back to the monastery. This used to happen a lot of times, and other bhikkhus used to ask him, why you are going to that particular tree where you left your plate and your clothes. And when they asked him, why are you not going there? Why are you going there? He said that he went to see his teacher. And he kept his mind taking old clothes and his plate as an object of meditation. The way he used to go there, how he used to contemplate. And then he realized the nature of these khandas, the anicca, dukkha, and anatta, the form, feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness. All of these things, how they are impermanent. He understood it when he meditated, and then he became an arhat. And then he stopped going to the tree. Why other bhikkhus noticed why he stopped going to the tree? Other bhikkhus came to him and asked, why are you not going to see your teacher? Then he said, there is no need for me to go to the teacher anymore. Then listening to him, they were surprised, and they were doubtful regarding what he had just said. They took him to the Buddha and said, he claims he has attained an arhat. I think he's telling a lie, they said to the Buddha. Then Buddha said, no, no, this Tera Politikatissa is not telling lies. He is speaking the truth. Previously, he had a relationship with the teacher, whatsoever, with this teacher. But now he has instructed himself to differentiate what is right and what is wrong. He has now become an arhat. So there is no further connection between him and his teacher. To him, the Buddha spoke these verses. Rare in this world is the kind of person who, out of sense of shame, restrains from doing evil, and keeps himself awake like a good horse that gives no cause to be whipped. So even though if there is a little sense of shame of doing evil, that will lead us to a wholesome path. So in even that little sense of shame from doing evil restrains us from doing evil, and it is very difficult or rare to find this kind of a person who have this sense of shame of restraint from doing evil. And Buddha is comparing here like a good horse that does not give any chance to be whipped. And Buddha gives another verse saying, like a good horse, still it is a touch of a whip. When it's whipped or when it's struck, it gets alerted, it gets aware. One should also get aware, alarmed by the endless rounds of rebirth in this samsara. And by faith, morality, effort, concentration, discernment of the Dhamma, be endowed with knowledge and practice of morality and with mindfulness, leaves his immeasurable dukkha of samsara. And when we are aware, when we know that this birth and death cycle of this samsara is being endless through so many rebirths we are in this samsara, when we get to know we have to strive, we have to have faith, we have to put effort, we have to meditate, practice, then with mindfulness come out of this samsara. I think we can finish this as well. We'll try to finish this. This is the last verse in this particular chapter. Farmers, verse number 145. Sukha Samanera Patu. Farmers channel the water, fletchers straighten the arrows, carpenters work the timber, the wise tame themselves. The story of Samanera Sukha. While residing at the Jetavana monastery, the Buddha uttered verse 145 of this book with reference to a Samanera named Sukha. Sukha was named a Samanera at the age of 7 years by Tirasariputta. On the 8th day after being made a Samanera, he followed Tirasariputta on his alms round. While doing the round, they came across some farmers irrigating their fields, some fletchers straightening their arrows, and some carpenters making things like cartwheels, etc. Seeing these, he asked Terasariputta whether these inanimate things could be guided to where one wished or be made into things one wished to make. And the Tera answered him in the affirmative. The young Samanera then pondered that if that were so, there could be no reason why a person could not tame his mind and practice tranquility and insight meditation. So he asked permission from the Tera to return to the monastery. There he shut himself up in his room and practiced meditation in solitude. Sakha and the Devas also helped him in his practice by keeping the monastery very quiet. That same day, the 8th day after his becoming a Samanera, Sukha attained arhanship. In connection with this, the Buddha said to the congregation of bhikkhus, when a person earnestly practices the Dhamma, even Sakka and the Devas give protection and help. I myself have kept Sariputta at the entrance so that Sukha should not be disturbed. The Samanera, having seen the farmers irrigating their fields, the fletchers straightening their arrows, and the carpenters making cartwheels and other things, trains his mind and practices the Dhamma. Thus, he has now become an Arhat. Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows: farmers channel the water, fletchers straighten the arrows, carpenters work the timber, the way wise tame themselves. This story is same as that of Samayera Pandita. So this is the last verse from this chapter. So the story is, I think it's very much self-explanatory, and the message is that we have to keep following the Dhamma in each and every situation. And everything surrounding us, which feels like very much complicated, like farmers watering this huge land, water which is not even be manageable, yet they water the whole field. And the fletchers straightening the arrows which doesn't feel sharp, or making the bows, making them bend, making them in one particular shape. Seems to be very difficult at first, but they do that. Even the carpenters who work with the timber, making the cart wheels, making the wood in that particular shape, might seem a difficult task for a not non-carpenter, but carpenters do that. Seeing all of them, which is very difficult to train them, guide them, this Samanera is that it is possible to tame all of these things. Then definitely for a wise person should tame themselves. He understood it and he sat on a meditation and he became an Arahant. And I think this story is very simple, so I think we don't need to read the story once again. I'll stop the screen sharing. Yes, Chaya, do you have anything to share? Vidyachi, Nanda, Madam, Paul. Yes,
Thank you
Chaya.
for reading. Thank you for reading these beautiful stories today. I'm so lucky, feeling blessed that I sat on the right time. And the simple lessons, now even if we keep reminding ourselves every time, it's very very meaningful and very helpful. So yes, thank you so much, Dhoni,
Thank you,
Sindhu.
Chaya.
Yes,
Vidyachi,
thank you, Sindhu. They're very nice stories, short and straight to the point, and Blessed One's teachings are a blessing for us to practice and follow his teachings and practice. And we all had the opportunity to attain arahatship. Thank you very much indeed.
thank you, Nanda, Madam. Or Vidyachi.
Right, Sindhu, thank you so much. Namaste, Namo Buddhaya. Thank you so much for this opportunity for us to listen to Dhamma. I truly hope all of us here progress on the path of enlightenment. May you all be happy. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Sadhu,
you.
sadhu.
Okay, we'll share the minutes. May suffering once be suffering free, and the fear stuck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you everyone for joining. Wishing you all happiness.
Thank you.
Sindhu, thanks so much.
Bye.